It is just fantastic to be here, and although the lights are a little dim, to kind of see you. I want to thank you, Julie, for those kind introductory remarks, and I have to tell you, for me personally, it's just really great to be here with so many friends, colleagues, innovators who make up this phenomenal community, and to actually see your faces this time, which is kind of a nice step forward. A special thanks to Robert Cardillo, to Rhonda Schrank, Christy Monaco, and everyone at USGIF for all the hard work you did in pulling together this absolutely awesome symposium in this awesome location. And what a great time in history for us all to come together. A time where the power of GEOINT and geospatial perspective is providing context and clarity to complex situations and to great effect. But before I get into my remarks, if you'll indulge me for 3 minutes, I'd like to show a quick video. I think you'll find that it fits pretty well with the symposium theme. At NGA, we like the word foundation. In fact, we like it so much that even though we made this video that I'm going to show, before the theme was announced, the word foundation was in there 3 times, used in 3 different ways, which is really convenient for me because, as a dear friend taught me, all good things come in 3s. Think about it. Holy Trinity, Earth, Wind, and Fire, the 3 Musketeers, both the swashbucklers and the delicious candy bar. I could go on and on and on, and I have in the past, but I digress. Let's roll the clip.
Who, what, why, when, where? These questions form the foundation of human exploration. They are fundamental to knowing and understanding our world. Their answers are essential to information gathering, storytelling, and problem solving. They have inspired the world's most famous thinkers and pioneers to push past the accepted, the conventional, the ordinary, to reveal truly extraordinary discoveries that have shaped our lives and stirred our imaginations. And they are at the heart of America's security. At the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the answers to these questions form the foundation of our mission. Everything on Earth, from its watery depths to its highest peaks, can be measured in space and time. Our workforce brings the intelligence to that equation, using our capabilities to illuminate options, inform decisions, and act with precision. NGA is a unique combination of intelligence agency and combat support agency. Our work shows the way in the air, the sea, on the front lines of a disaster, from the halls of the Pentagon to the Oval Office. We work side by side with our military services, our nation's leaders, and first responders to provide the information they need when they need it most, allowing them to take action before events become a crisis. Our country's defining moments are times of great determination and exceptional achievement, from the Revolutionary War to the expeditions of Lewis and Clark to landing a man on the moon. In each, you will find geospatial intelligence. NGA and its predecessors have been a part of some of the nation's biggest technological feats and proudest moments. And we've also answered the call during some of its darkest. Who, what, why, when, where? Throughout human history, we've yearned to discover what lies beyond the horizon. The drive to explore our surroundings and understand the Earth is deeply ingrained in our DNA. At NGA, our mission is to answer those fundamental questions today, so we can help show the way to a better tomorrow. Our work is foundational, it is advancing, and it is far from finished. We will continue to explore the Earth, and also the partnerships, tools, and technologies needed to meet America's geospatial demands. We must and will rise to meet all challenges, exploring where we've been and where we're going, wherever it takes us.
about a round of applause for my team that put that awesome video together? I tell you, if that doesn't get you motivated, you're probably in the wrong place. And yes, we are recruiting, so come by and see us at the NGA booth. But if you're watching there, you no doubt notice these words right up front. Who, what, when, where, why? These questions form the foundation of human exploration. They're fundamental to knowing and understanding our world, and they're at the heart of American security. So let's talk about security. And first and foremost on everyone's mind when it comes to national and international security these days is undoubtedly Ukraine. I can tell you, GEOINT has been foundational in understanding and dealing with the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Hopefully, most of you saw the media reports about the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, carrying around what's come to be known as the big green map everywhere he goes. He brings it with him to all his meetings in the Pentagon, to his meetings in the White House with President Biden and the National Security Council, and he brings it with him on foreign trips, such as the 5-day tour of NATO frontline nations he conducted in early March, which prompted the media reports about his big green map. An article in the Washington Post stated, maps are the most basic tools of military strategy. They allow commanders to chart a course through the fog of war. They organize the chaos of the battlefield. Now, General Milley's big green map is updated regularly, and it's classified, or I'd show you a copy of it here. And there's far more than just GEOINT on it. It's a product that's been thoroughly coordinated with the rest of the U.S. intelligence community and our allies. But GEOINT is its foundation, providing context and clarity to the chaotic, complex battlefield. And the Post article summed it up like this. In this awful conflict, the intelligence data compiled in the map has been America's most potent weapon. America's most potent weapon. And General Milley isn't alone in his love of maps. I can't recall watching the news on TV or in open websites and seeing nearly as many maps as we've been seeing since February. And trust me, we in this room we've made more than a few of those maps that we're seeing. These geospatially based products have been absolutely critical in providing world leaders and military planners a common understanding of what's going on in Ukraine and the surrounding areas so that they can concentrate their time and energy on discussing what can be done about it and taking action. And it's not just maps having tremendous impact. GEOINT, in the form of commercial imagery and analytical services, have been instrumental to those fighting in Ukraine and to shaping worldviews of the crisis. It's been used very effectively to provide transparency and to counter Russia disinformation. Now, many of the specific details on how GEOINT is being used to great effect are classified and sensitive, but let me at least outline some of the ongoing support by posing and answering 3 questions. First, with respect to the Ukraine crisis, is NGA monitoring events there and in surrounding regions and disseminating GEOINT to partner nations who are engaged in joint missions? That's a resounding yes. And we're not doing it alone. It's a true team of team efforts across an extensive partnered GEOINT community, working collaboratively to share GEOINT data, products, and services in ways we've never done before. I have to tell you, I've not only been impressed by what the community is doing, but more importantly, how our teams are doing it. Truly game-changing efforts. Second question. To support international responses to the Ukraine crisis, is NGA providing our mission partners with access to numerous sources of GEOINT, including commercial imagery and data? That too is a resounding yes. And finally, as far as what U.S. imagery companies are providing to assist NATO and the West in this situation, is NGA okay with all that? Even encouraging it? Absolutely, heck yeah. No restrictions. Publicly available imagery of Ukraine is now providing unprecedented public insight that until recently would have been only available through government agencies and officials. And it's helping a democratic country fight for its survival and preserve its independence. We support and applaud those efforts 100%. We're doing some new and unconventional things in warfighter support these days. And there's one quick example at the tactical level I want to share with you. Noelani? Last month, we had teammates who went to the U.S. European Command Area of Operations to train some military partners on the Aerial Reconnaissance Tactical Edge Mapping Imagery System, Artemis for short. It's a small, unmanned aircraft system that's ideal when you have atmospheric conditions that aren't the best for satellite collection. Think extensive cloud coverage, but you still need updated, more current GEOINT. Due to this initiative, we now have military forces in Europe who can use Artemis for high-resolution imagery, creating their own GEOINT at the tactical edge that can be easily shared at the unclassified level with international partners and with no restrictions. Yes, Forn. Thank you, and a round of applause for my aide, Lieutenant Colonel Kaluhiva. One small but important side story. Unclassified satellite imagery has proven its tremendous value during this crisis. It's also interesting and oddly coincidental that one of the most famous uses of unclassified imagery shared with the public was back in 1986 when the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded and the Soviet Union was forced to retract their denial about it, thanks to imagery that clearly showed burning graphite from the damaged reactor. Of course, Chernobyl was and is in Ukraine. The more things change, the more they stay the same. And the value of broadly sharing foundational GEOINT truth is proving to be timeless. All right, let me move on to the second use of the word foundation that you saw in our open video. At NGA, the answers to these questions form the foundation of our mission. Everything on Earth, from its watery depths to its highest peaks, can be measured in space and time. As most of you know, we have an entire department whose core job is foundation at NGA, our Source Foundation Department, with experts in bathymetry, topography, aerography, and geodesy, helping us meet our statutory obligations to provide safety of navigation products and services, and precision targeting to support our forces operating around the clock and around the globe. And just like the rest of our GEOINT disciplines, the Foundation GEOINT business has changed dramatically over the past several years, continually evolving to get faster, more precise, and more resilient. I want to highlight 3 Foundation GEOINT projects we've been working on. Yep, 3. The first one is a backup to GPS, which is prudent for us all to be planning for these days. It's called Magneto. It's all about magnetic navigation, or MagNav for short. It doesn't use the magnetic field generated by the Earth's molten core, which constitutes more than 95% of the observed magnetic signal. Instead, it uses the magnetic field frozen in the Earth's crust. It's not quite as accurate as GPS, but it's a great passive system, all weather, day and night, and pretty much impossible to spoof or jam. As a backup to GPS, it offers resiliency. We've already got partners in the Navy and the Air Force requesting MagNav products. They already see the value, and we think others will too. Here's another cool foundation project that I'd like to highlight for you, and I mean literally cool. And yes, that was a bad dad weather joke. Just give me a little leeway, if you would. I also want to give a big bravo Zulu to our Coast Guard shipmates for helping us out with this one. We sent a couple of NGA officers with gravimeters on a Coast Guard cutter traveling through the famed Northwest Passage. They collected gravity data in the Arctic region where none had ever been collected before. And what a privilege for them to be able to collect their own marine gravity with their own gravimeters for the first time ever. Things are changing rapidly in the Arctic, and that part of the planet is taking on increased strategic importance. And this is critical data for us all to have. You'll hear more about the Arctic tomorrow morning from the Principal Deputy Director of National Intelligence, Dr. Stacy Dixon, one of my absolute favorite people in the world and a proud NGA alum. The final project I want to share with you is slated to become operational by the end of this month. It's called the Source Maritime Automated Processing System, or SMAPS for short, and it basically speeds up and simplifies navigation warning alerts. Our Maritime Safety Watch Desk gets almost 1,000 messages a day on safety of navigation issues. Icebergs, man overboard, missile and rocket launches, military exercises, pirates, sea monsters, you name it. They take all those individual reports, then organize and validate them, and then they issue warning broadcasts. We issue in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 warning broadcasts every day. And NGA and our predecessor organizations have been providing this service dating back to 1907. SMAPS works with natural language processing and basic machine learning to improve the system so that the watch officers can focus on analysis and turn over the data administration to the software. That reduces the time it takes from receiving incoming messages to sending out alerts to the Navy, Coast Guard, and commercial mariners by up to 50%. It also reduces all the standard human error. This effort is literally going to help save lives, and it's a great example of the power of partnering with machines. And as long as we're talking about improving how our humans partner with machines, let me switch to some fairly recent news. At the end of last month, the White House delivered President Biden's budget request to Congress for fiscal year 2023. In there, you may have noticed something interesting. In the budget, NGA gains operational control of Project Maven's GEOINT AI services and capabilities from the Office of Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. That includes responsibility for labeled data, AI algorithms, test and evaluation capabilities, and the platform. Now, you'll likely hear more about this from Secretary Moultrie tomorrow, but from the NGA perspective, we very much appreciate his confidence and this tremendous opportunity. We already have ongoing efforts to leverage AI and apply machine learning algorithms to enable GEOINT analysis at scale. And this move brings together two major DoD and AI and ML efforts under one roof. And we're proud that our close partnerships with OSD staff is actually what created Maven in the first place. We take seriously this opportunity to provide strategic leadership and a corporate approach to GEOINT AI investments. In the months to come, we'll be calling on industry as we progress with this great responsibility. We want to move forward together so we can deliver GEOINT at the pace that our warfighters and decision makers need. We have to be able to keep up with rapidly emerging digital trends. We have to be able to accelerate our ability to provide detections at the speed of mission to give our customers tactical, operational, and strategic advantage. So starting next fiscal year, we'll have complementary computer vision efforts that will deliver automated GEOINT detections to both intelligence analysts and warfighters in our key role as a combat support agency. We'll provide the subject matter experts, humans who can train the machine, evaluate it, and make sense of the output. We'll bring together those disparate, sometimes siloed communities of machine learning experts, data scientists, GIS experts, and imagery analysts to improve AI model performance, develop standards, and lead interoperability efforts for the GEOINT community. The bottom line is that we'll be able to lead and coordinate the GEOINT community in the AI programs that have already been started and continue applying them directly to the mission. These programs from us, NRO, and elsewhere in DoD have been generating detections and producing new GEOINT, making us faster and better in how we do our business. In the not too distant future, these efforts will give us our millions of eyes to see the unseen. And when you combine all that with the authorities of the GEOINT functional manager, it means we can finally bring together all these GEOINT computer vision efforts and show the way to the future. If this topic piques your interest, we'd like to invite you to the Government Hub on Wednesday at 12:45, where we'll have a panel who will be talking about our computer vision quest. Something else worth digging into is the public launch of, you guessed it, 3 key technical initiatives: our updated tech focus areas, our Common Operations Release Environment, or NGA Core for short, and our new guide called the NGA Software Way. They're all connected, and they're all related to how we'll achieve our mission imperatives. Now, you received a copy of our latest tech focus areas in your conference packet. It's focused on our mission imperatives, which determine how we allocate our time, our energy, and our resources. These imperatives and the technology needs within them are crucial to understanding where we're heading. And we know that the only way we can make them a reality is as a team, so we look forward to working with you to deliver on these together. Near the end of that pamphlet, you'll see a reference to NGA Core. NGA Core is an architectural transformation for us and an important part of our agency's future. It provides a common environment for modern software development and operations. Core is where we'll build and operate software. And the NGA Software Way shows how we'll deliver useful software faster. When we put out a draft of this document last year as a request for information, we received more than 340 pages of industry feedback, and we thank you all for that. We took those notes, we read every page, and we're excited to publish this new, actionable 12-page guide based on industry best practices. One last thing about our tech focus areas. The updated version starts with something new, a graphic that explains where we're heading as an agency and as a community. You can see that our workflows are changing from human-initiated to machine-initiated. We need to make these changes in order to increase our speed and stay ahead of the growing amount of GEOINT created each and every day. You can see that our data types and sources are changing from US government prioritized to all data sources that come from different parts of the innovation ecosystem. We will simply get better outcomes from that increased diversity of sources. And we're moving from high-side data aggregation to using the lowest possible domain. Our products are more accessible that way. Now, these concepts aren't new, but we've never put them on paper this clearly or publicly before. We realize these changes won't be easy, but as I've told Team NGA, hard is authorized. We all know that we need to continually change and improve in order to deliver on our mission. And if this topic piques your interest, we'd like to invite you to the Government Hub tomorrow at 1:30. We'll have a panel who will be talking about our tech focus areas in greater depth at that time, that location. All right, let's get back to our opening video. Here's the third and final time it mentioned the word foundation. Our work is foundational. It's advancing and is far from finished. We will continue to explore the Earth and also the partnerships, tools, and technologies needed to meet America's geospatial demands. It is far from finished. And together with the rest of the intelligence community, we've been able to be a key part of how the West has helped Ukraine prevent Russia from overrunning Kyiv and from installing a puppet government subservient to Russian control. Today, on the 61st day of the war, Ukraine is bravely and impressively fighting on. Partnerships are critical to the ongoing success. Along with our people, our partnerships are the very foundation of what makes NGA and the entire GEOINT community work so well. Our people and our partnerships are our strategic competitive advantage. Let me say that again, our strategic competitive advantage. Our competitors wish they had a key partner like NRO, where our relationship is the strongest it's been in our respective histories, or strong collaborative partnerships like we enjoy across the intelligence community with great partners like DIA and NSA. And we'll hear a video message from Lieutenant General Barrier, Director of DIA, on Wednesday about the need to tightly integrate HUMINT, MASINT, SIGINT, OSINT, and GEOINT. And we'll hear from General Nakasone in person tomorrow about how he feels personally responsible for providing a comprehensive layered network defense that ensures GEOINT insights reach our customers securely. Working together, we all make each other much more effective. Our competitors also wish they had friends in industry like we do. The commercial world has stepped up to the plate on Ukraine and absolutely knocked it out of the park. And they wish they had academic partners like we do. Our education partnership agreements and cooperative research and development agreements with so many great universities have not only established cutting-edge research critical to improving our capabilities, but a pipeline for the future GEOINT analysts, imagery analysts, data scientists, geodesy scientists, and other STEM experts that we all need. And our competitors really wish they had international partners and allies like we do. This crisis has clearly demonstrated how strong and valuable our international partnerships are in the GEOINT realm. We've moved way beyond just sharing information. We're sharing mission, sharing technology, sharing tactics, techniques, and procedures. And everyone involved in working this crisis together has been taking time every day to be self-critical, to explore ways that we can get better, be faster, and to implement continual change. We are doing things today that we hadn't even imagined at the onset of this crisis, and there's no going back. And of course, as a combat support agency, we're all about the troops. First thing this morning, we heard a great example from General Clark on how important it is to be first with the truth and how well our partnership works at SOCOM. Having served there myself, it warms my heart to hear about the strength and scope of our partnerships with our combatant commands and our operational and tactical forces. People and partnerships, partnerships and people. As far as our people, they've now been through the crucible of COVID and have emerged stronger, smarter, and better from the experience. At NGA, when we initially dealt with the pandemic, we committed to taking all actions necessary to protect and preserve our force and our families while continuing to meet the mission-critical needs of our nation. That remained our North Star and remains our North Star today. We also committed to not only surviving the pandemic, but to using it as an opportunity to reimagine how we do our business and as a catalyst for change. And the women and men of the agency unquestionably nailed it, and we're witnessing the benefits at how we've grown and how we've been responding to this crisis, committed to being collaborative, innovative, inclusive, and agile in everything we do. We also remain committed to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. It's just obvious that we're so much more effective when our team is made up of people coming from a variety of backgrounds, possessing a wide spectrum of skill sets and experiences, and we create the environment where each and every talented individual on our roster plays and contributes. This is not just good and right thing to do, which it is, but more importantly, it's about warfighting excellence and being the very best we can be. This is another area where we're committed to getting better each and every day in pursuit of strengthening our team and being excellent. Now, there's a famous quote by Verna Myers that says, "Diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked to dance." We'll take it a step further and establish belonging, and it was great to hear that mentioned up here during the panel. Ensuring everyone has the opportunity to come, to dance, and to get to pick the music, and maybe take a turn DJing, right? Now, April is Autism Acceptance Month, and I hope you caught the CBS This Morning segment that ran last Thursday about our neurodiverse federal workforce pilot program. We're really proud of that program. The goal is to create a template for recruiting neurodiverse talent for U.S. federal government agencies. It's also been a great opportunity for us to learn and grow as we examine how to better support neurodiverse employees who already work at NGA. If you haven't seen the segment, I encourage you to watch it and think about this. If we hadn't taken the steps to pursue that program, we would not have found the incredibly talented officer who is showcased by CBS. We would not have had her talent on our team, and we would be less capable, period. We're in competition for our nation's best and brightest, and the wider we cast our nets, the better off we'll all be. All right, I started with the current situation in Ukraine. Now I'd like to finish by comparing it to the past, 60 years ago. 1962 was the year of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it was also a time when the world was anxiously obsessing over maps and imagery from the skies above. Just as they do now, those photographs told the story. The photos from one of our predecessor agencies, the National Photographic Interpretation Center, were foundational intelligence. But it's important to remember that they weren't the only intelligence. They didn't exist in a vacuum. SIGINT from Cuba provided the general picture of the Soviet military buildup. Human sources provided tipping and cueing and gave us details about Soviet missile systems so imagery analysts could identify them. And then, when they did identify them, they didn't actually solve the missile crisis. But what they did do was provide the president and his team, including the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Adlai Stevenson, concrete proof about Soviet aggression and outright lies. They delivered about 2 weeks of decision space and decision advantage that Khrushchev never thought President Kennedy would have in advance. That's how it worked, and that's how it still works for GEOINT, working with the broader IC. We provide the time, space, and insights needed to make the right decisions, and we're awfully proud of the opportunity to do so. 60 years ago, our predecessors were called upon to do truly great things. They rose to that moment. And so did their successors for the next 6 decades. And so will we as an enterprise. Looking at the parallels today with Ukraine, how are we going to do in these uncertain times? Well, in my opinion, NGA, the National System for GEOINT, the Allied System for GEOINT, our other international partners and our teammates in academia and industry, we were absolutely made for times like this. It's when we're at our very best. There's every reason in the world to believe that 60 years from now, your grandkids and great-grandkids will remember what the overall GEOINT enterprise did back in 2022. They'll still be talking about you because this is your defining moment, and you are the foundation of our success. People and partnerships, partnerships and people. It's been my experience throughout my career that as you lose talent, you gain talent, and the team continues to get stronger. We have some recent and upcoming changes in some senior leadership positions at NGA that I want to ensure you're all tracking. Our new Deputy Director, Tanya Wilkerson, brings absolutely phenomenal skills and experience to our agency from NRO and CIA, and we are beyond fortunate to have her. She is a true servant leader, and she's already having tremendous positive impact. And our new Senior Enlisted Advisor, Command Sergeant Major T.J. Baird, brings unparalleled positivity and energy, and is spearheading some new initiatives to strengthen and expand our partnerships and truly tap into the talents we have in our uniformed technical experts from across the services. If you'd like to meet them, TJ will be at the NGA booth today at 1 o'clock, and Tanya will be there tomorrow at 10. Also here at the symposium, getting a head start, is Brigadier General Max Pearson from the Air Staff. He'll be joining us as our Associate Director for Operations, replacing the legendary Major General Charlie Cleveland. We'll be bringing Max on board at the end of June. As for me, my plan to stay on the job for 12 years was unsuccessful. Unless you count the pandemic years as dog years, which I do, 1 + 7 + 7, that's about 15 in dog years. Taking the helm from me in June will be a brilliant U.S. Navy officer who's been my relief 3 previous jobs, Vice Admiral Trey Whitworth. I know he's looking forward to meeting all of you. He'll be joining us here tomorrow evening for Mappy Hour and for most of Wednesday before heading back to the Pentagon and continuing to carry out his current duties as the Joint Staff J2. All right, Rhonda, let's turn this into a conversation. I'd love to take some questions. So I learned this from George Costanza. I'm out of here.
Oh no, you can never leave. That was the perfect song. Thank you for a wonderful presentation this morning, and thank you to the audience who has been very busy sending in questions. So I'll try to group a few of them. So let's start with many of our industry colleagues. I'm going to group a few of these. They're wanting to know what NGA, what the geospatial community most needs from industry. And I'm hearing, are there more GIS capabilities that we can provide to Ukraine? And will there ever be enough? Will there ever be too much commercial imagery capability?
Yeah, let me address a number of those are great questions. I think first and foremost, what we need from industry partners is to continue just to partner like we're doing, right? To really work through and create the environment where we're having constant dialogue and you understanding our issues, which is what we're trying to capture in that technical focus areas, right? Is creating, just being very upfront. I think this is the 3rd year that we've put it out on what technology challenges we're having. And then we also include in there information on how you can interact with us, right? How you can reach out to us, how we can get with the right experts. And I think, we've been talking about the moonshot and the fact that we're in a competition, and we were very deliberate about talking about that kind of 60s environment because to be successful in the space race, it really required us to come together and partner in amazing ways. GIS, I think, is going to continue to be foundational to everything we do, which is a brilliant theme this year, and it's showing the power of that. And if you look at some of our mission imperatives, some of the things we're concerned about is what if the data and the capabilities that we have now were threatened and challenged? You know, what sort of redundancy, resiliency do we have? What are new ways of doing things that we do, leveraging GIS and assured positioning, navigation, timing? And then on the commercial imagery question, I've told people we're not at the point where we're overly saturated, right? And we kind of went through this as a community, if you can remember, in the CT fight when we were establishing growing more air-breathing theater and tactical collection. And some people were saying, we came out with a 30 orbit requirement at one point, and people were like, is 30 orbits, is that too much? It's like, hey, just start giving us stuff, and we'll tell you if we're overwhelmed. And I think we're at one of those points right now. Just start giving us stuff, and we'll tell you if we're overwhelmed. And for people that aren't in this business, some people think that we have persistence from space, that we are constantly monitoring everything. And for those in this business, you know that's not true, right? We're getting snapshots. We're getting more frequent snapshots nowadays, but we are heading in the right direction in leveraging these capabilities. So we just encourage you to stay the course. I think we're also going to see that there is much broader applications for this above and beyond the security realm.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to...
Job security. I think you all have job security.
I'm going to combine a few more. We're sitting here looking at our golden ticket winners. Congratulations again to all of you. So what's your plan for recruiting the next generation of the NGA workforce? And I've also gotten a similar question of what advice do you have for college students thinking about becoming analysts or working in the GEOINT field? Yeah,
let me address the first one foremost, because I mentioned that we are in competition for our nation's best and brightest, right? And you've heard this, I think, from some of the other speakers. You heard it from me, and you heard it certainly on the panel that you just had. The more we can do to broaden the aperture and to make people aware of the opportunities in this realm, the better off we'll be, because we'll get talent that we wouldn't have had beforehand. So at NGA, we're being very deliberate about expanding how we're engaging and who we're engaging with, just so people start to think about this. One of the things Jason Hall was talking about this, actually all panel members were talking about how excited everybody is about some of our efforts ongoing out in St. Louis. And it's really unique partnering between federal government and state and local government and academic institutes and local businesses and nonprofits with the intent of starting to get some of the tools and the applications of these tools into the K through 12 system, right? So that people start thinking about potential futures for them, operating in the GEOINT realm or the geospatial realm. And I think we will benefit from that at NGA, but we collectively will benefit from that as well. For those that are interested in getting into the business, I think the universities are going through this transformational change right now, and where they're looking at their own colleges and majors and re-examining that and evolving kind of what they're offering to people. So I think it's important that people not only pursue STEM, but you also pursue the softer sciences and the analytical aspects and the critical thinking aspects to grow your own skills, and to be continually looking at what additional arrows you can throw in your quiver, just to continually expand your own expertise and broaden the talents that you bring. And it was funny, a few years ago in the Navy, we came out with what was a very good initiative to broaden some of the rating, some of the skills we had, but it was not rolled out very effectively. It was kind of rolled out with shock and awe, because it came out and said, hey, here's the good news. We're going to take away all your ratings, and you're all just going to be sailors. But we're doing that because we don't want you to be siloed into training opportunities that are associated with that historical ratings. But what we didn't realize is there's a lot of pride that goes into those identities that people had. But there was, so some people just saw that, hey, you're taking away my identity. But some people also saw it for what it was, which was, hey, wait, you mean I can be trained in this, and I could also be trained in this, and I could also be trained in this, right? Which is yes, and I think it's an exciting time to be starting off in this business where you will grow your skill sets in ways that aren't even defined now, right? If we're doing business the right way. So be a lifelong learner, right? When we say people are really important, that means you need to invest in yourselves, right? Take time and energy. Professional athletes, the very best professional athletes and the best teams constantly train and get better. Somebody wins the Super Bowl, they celebrate for a day, and then they get back to work and then saying, how can we do this again? How do we get better?
All right. Well, we're almost out of time. One last question.
Yep. I'll be here all week.
All right. I'll take you up on that. I'm very sad, as we talked about earlier, to see you go through all of the, what did you say, 15 dog years? So much has evolved and changed and grown. Mm-hmm. If you could narrow it down, what's your greatest accomplishment? What are you most proud of during your time at NGA?
Yeah, that's, I think I'm most proud of the way that the team came together and leaders at every level took ownership of protecting and preserving our first and our families and continuing to meet mission critical needs of the nation. And I'm proud of the way that we came together and we used that as an opportunity to grow. And one of our teammates was writing me and had some very kind comments just about our time over the last 3 years, was kind of reflective. And he used these 3 words, which were really powerful to me. He said he thinks that the agency right now is stronger, more agile, and more human. That had been. And when you are stronger and agile and human as an organization, there's nothing you can't do. So I think I'm just proud of the way the team has done what it's doing.
Oh, thank you. Let's give them all a round of applause.